remember deciding to become reliable. I just remember noticing that things felt easier when I was. And somewhere along the way, that began to feel less like who I was and more like what kept me from fading away. At one point, I believed reliability was my identity, the person who consistently paid attention, who noticed the minor details, who sensed when things were about to slip. Just because leaving things undone felt unsettling and handling it made me feel capable and seen. And over time, something else crept in. The question became, does anyone even notice when I take care of things? A sense that if I didn't do it, it might not matter enough to anyone else. If this feels familiar, stay with me for a few minutes. A lot of us learned either early on or gradually that our place felt safer when we were contributing. When you're the one who keeps track, smooths transitions, or fills the spaces others don't, something inside you eases. Not because anyone asked, but because being helpful feels like proof you belong, and your presence feels valued. Sometimes that shows up as us staying a little longer than when we need to, or fear if you don't step forward first, someone might question your place. We may or may not recognize it, but the body feels it. It can show up as tension that doesn't fully release even after you feel you've added value, or in fatigue that comes from staying a step ahead of being needed. There's a belief underneath that. If I stop carrying my share, I might lose my relevance. And if I'm no longer relevant, do I still have a place here? This isn't about ego. It's about safety. Then the action isn't about generosity. It's position insurance. Reliability usually starts as a response. Maybe you learned early that things felt calmer when you stayed engaged. Maybe your tension eased when you stepped in, even if it was only for a moment. Maybe absence felt louder when you weren't there. So you became the consistent presence, the one who stayed involved, the buffer that kept things aligned, the one who people can rely on at work, in relationships, in family. And it worked. You weren't invisible. You were visible in a specific role. Dependability became what you were known for. People leaned into that. And over time, that leaning started to register in your body. What once felt like being counted on began to feel like carrying more than your share. And still, stepping back didn't feel neutral. It felt risky. The unbecoming here isn't about becoming unreliable. It's the moment you notice the fear underneath the role. Noticing how much of your presence has become predictable. How often you're expected to be the one who follows through. How rarely anyone checks whether that role still fits you. At some point, reliability stops feeling like something you offer and starts feeling like something you're known for. Not praised loudly, not questioned either, just assumed. You can feel it in small interactions, in how requests come without much explanations, in how plans are made with you already accounted for, in how your absence creates surprise, not concern. People don't ask if you'll handle it. They speak as if you already are. And none of this is malicious. It's how your role formed. The shape you've held becomes the shape others lean into without thinking to ask whether you still want to hold it. And the shift isn't marked by exhaustion or resentment. It's marked by a gentler realization that your place has been shaped around what you consistently provide, not necessarily who you are when you're not doing it. That's the moment. Not one where you decide to change anything, just one where you see the role clearly and realize how much space it takes up. You weren't wrong for becoming the reliable one. It kept you connected. It gave you footing. And you may not need to secure your place the same way anymore. Sometimes it starts with a weariness. You may notice how automatic it's become, how much of you is already expected before you even arrive. That weariness doesn't mean you've done something wrong. It's something asking for your attention. This can carry a kind of sadness. Lost for how long being dependable became the way you stayed connected. Lost for the version of you who kept showing up even when you were tired. Something anxious can surface here too. If I'm not holding things together, will anyone look for me? Will I still be included? Will I still have a place? There doesn't have to be an answer yet. Just the truth that reliability and worth were never the same thing, even if they felt inseparable for a very long time. You don't have to stop being reliable overnight. You don't have to make a statement by stepping back. It's enough to notice the belief, to let the unease be there without organizing your life around it. Your place doesn't disappear just because you rest. And you don't have to hold everything together to be allowed to stay. You're allowed to exist without earning your spot. If this stayed with you, you don't need to do anything with it. Just keep what's meant for you. And before we close, if Caffeine and Clarity has felt like a steady place for you, something you keep company with during your week, there are a few simple ways to support this space. You're always welcome to subscribe, share, or leave a comment. Those small gestures help at no cost to you. And if it feels right, there's also the option to donate or visit the shop and choose something that feels like it belongs with you. Mostly, I'm just glad you're here and grateful for the way you help make room for conversations like this when they're mostly needed. This is Unbecoming, a series about the selves we had to become to survive and the courage it takes to let them go. If this stayed with you, you're welcome to sit with it a little longer. You don't need to pass it on. Just notice what's true. And you don't have to know what comes next in order to keep going. Thanks for being here.